Our planet's polar regions are among the most remote and hostile environments known to humankind. But while these worlds may feel detached from our everyday lives, what happens here, in fact, affects us all. For more than a century, research teams have studied these environments to learn more about our planet as a whole and to monitor how it is responding to man-made climate change. Now, to ensure that it remains at the cutting edge of research, the British Antarctic Survey have partnered with specialist contractor BAM and UK engineering firm Ramboll to upgrade a number of the survey's sites in Antarctica. 5 hours by plane from the nearest town, in temperatures that barely peak above freezing during the summer, and contending with some remarkable challenges, this is the world's most extreme construction site. The need to visit the world's most hostile continent is driven by our desire to learn more about our planet and understand how it is responding to a rapidly changing climate. What happens in Antarctica has a significant effect on the wider world and its ocean systems, and its 4-kilometre thick ice sheet contains a unique record of the Earth's climate over the past million years. To ensure that the UK remains at the forefront of climate, biodiversity and oceanographic research, the country's Natural Environment Research Council has invested more than £300 million over a 7-year period to upgrade and modernise facilities across the British Antarctic Survey's network of sites on the continent. Many of these upgrades revolve around the Sir David Attenborough research vessel, due to launch in 2020. Measuring 30 metres longer than its predecessor, the James Clark Ross, wharf facilities at Rothera and other research sites across the Southern Ocean need to be expanded in order for the ship to dock and unload supplies efficiently.
The British Antarctic Survey is responsible for delivering science in the polar regions. We have 5 stations in Antarctica, or sub-Antarctica, including South Georgia. The work that we do in the marine environment and the polar environment and ice cores and glaciology, all these things make a huge contribution to our understanding of the polar regions and by extension the planet.
So the BAM Group are a worldwide construction firm. The current project I'm working on is upgrading the facilities in a place called Rothera in Antarctica. It's part of a framework that BAM is working with British Antarctic Survey and Ramboll, the technical advisor.
We have commissioned this new ship which allows us to continue doing science in the remote parts of this world. The new ship, the Sir David Attenborough, is going to allow us to get further into the polar regions. But as well as a new ship, we need infrastructure that supports the new ship. A lot of our land-based assets and buildings and so on were getting towards the end of their usable life, so that there was a requirement to upgrade them anyway.
Following an 18-month period working with the construction team and BAS in Cambridge in the UK, we've just been out to site for 6 months for our first construction season. Rothera Wharf is a 2-season project where we've dismantled the old wharf and we're about halfway through building the new wharf. Our target is to finish building the wharf April 2020.
With a population of more than 100 people during the summer months, the survey's largest facility is the Rothera Research Station, located on Adelaide Island, just off the Antarctic Peninsula. Undertaking construction works here is far from easy, and the project to expand Rothera's wharf and its associated facilities has been approached unlike any other. From the outset, the key members of the project team formed a close partnership.
Antarctica is very far away, particularly from the UK, so it's a very remote place. It's an enormous continent, so it's very difficult to get from one place to another in Antarctica. Clearly, the environment is very challenging. I think we say it's the coldest, highest, driest, all sorts of other adjectives about how difficult it is to actually do science and any other support works in the continent.
some particular unique things such as orcas and leopard seals, which mean restrictions on our diving works for when we have our divers in the water, either helping during the dismantling of the old wharf or when we're building the new wharf. We have icebergs that float past and we hope don't come too close to us when we're building the new wharf. But we have lots of snow and ice and lots of other things that you don't necessarily have to deal with on our UK projects.
A lot of aspects of delivering construction projects in Antarctica are a bit counterintuitive. So you just need to forget one fairly simple part of a project. It could be a small part of a machine. And if you do that, all of a sudden, your entire season is wasted. So you have to plan so much in advance.
The 12 months that we spent together as a staff team planning the works were obviously crucial before we all flew off to Rothera. When we completed our design, we worked hand in hand with both the permanent works designer and in-house BAM team in The Hague, with our temporary works designers in Camberley. And we brought all the design elements together through digital models to make sure that we had clash detection and planning in place. We used those things at pre-deployment training, really to make sure that everyone had as much knowledge as possible and landed on the ground and knew what they had to do.
The build it before you build it approach is very important. The frames are modular, so that we have 10 fairly similar ones in the back, 10 fairly similar ones in the front. But to make sure that they all work properly, we actually built them all in the steelwork fabricator's yard in Southampton before we even took them on the ship. Because what we don't want to do is get to site and try and build it for the first time and realise it doesn't work.
Thankfully all those trials went really well and we didn't actually need any rework, but we had that sanity check done in the UK to save us time. It's obviously a lot easier to make any changes in the UK than it is out in site. Conditions can be a lot worse than they are over here at home.
The main driver for our programme and our partnership model is that we wanted partners who that we knew had all the competences to deliver what we need, but also they were going to stick with us for a long time.
So British Antarctic Survey, BAS, they tendered for a construction partner to work closely with during the early engagement and the planning for the works and also the delivery and the construction on site. BAM were successful in winning that tender. That was announced about January 2017. And since then we've been working on the planning for the initial projects, as well as our team in Cambridge working alongside BAS with the planning. We also have people that go to site and deliver the projects.
It's not really much use for us to spend quite a lot of money getting our partners up the learning curve to become good at Antarctica, to get the polar badge, as it were, and then suddenly decide they've had enough to go somewhere else. So continuity of the team is very important. We're looking for a long-term commitment. So what we do is we commit long-term to them. So we've put in place 10-year contracts. So BAM came in as our construction partner about 3 years ago because we want them to help us deliver a large programme, but over a long period of time. Committing to a long-term collaborative partnership is fundamental to the success of delivering projects in Antarctica.
We hand select people that we think both have the skills that are needed technically to deliver the projects, but just as importantly, living with 50 of your colleagues for 6 months, that we think will get on well and be able to deal with the environment that we're faced with when we're living together closely and working together closely for such a long time.
Most people in construction are used to working relatively short on-off periods. We're asking them to do 6 months on before they then get their well-earned break. That's very tough. Antarctica is an amazing place. I mean, scenically it's fantastic, and most people will look back at these projects as the highlight of their careers. However, it's not easy because you can't get home.
As well as having all our plans in place for building the job, in some ways that becomes the easy bit, and we've also got to consider how we keep people engaged and happy for six months, including myself.
It's a fantastic place. We are absolutely not roughing it. The facilities we have are very, very good. We have comfortable accommodation, fantastic chefs, the food is very, very good, but you can't get away from the fact that you're stuck there and you cannot get away. We've got a big investment in mental health, and we have to manage the interface between the construction team and the BAS team, who are generally come from quite different backgrounds. But actually the conclusions from last season was it was one of the most successful seasons we've ever had at Rotherham, partly because of the amount of planning that went into delivering the project, but also the integration of all the people from both the BAS side and the BAM side.
We have a really engaged team, the majority of who are going back to work on season 2, which is great for me as a project manager, that they're all happy to go back. One of the things we need to consider during the planning is biosecurity. This is important to make sure that any foreign species don't arrive in Antarctica.
Antarctica is a pristine environment and we absolutely want to keep it that way. And when you're delivering thousands of tons of cargo, it's quite easy for things to get hidden, maybe in the tracks of an excavator or something like that.
We engaged with Transglobal Projects, who BAM worked closely with in Teesport in the north of England, and we had 10 weeks to bring in all the equipment, check it all over, make sure it was compliant both technically for going to Rotherham and also that it was cleaned thoroughly before it was loaded on the ship. Every single piece of kit that came off the ship was checked off by BAS and BAM together, and we made sure that it was safe from a biosecurity risk point of view to bring onto the station and start the work. So in terms of the next phases of the project, initially going back in November 2019, we have to complete all the works on the wharf. We're also going to start all our groundworks for the new building, which is part of the modernisation of the research station. That's a 4-season project, and next season we want to do all the groundworks and make it ready for the following season, where we'll put the building actually up and make it watertight.
The proudest moment for me is probably the development of what I think is one of the strongest collaborative partnerships in construction project delivery. We have created a really great team, including BAS and BAM and Ramble and Sweco and NERC and others. It's all about partnering and collaborative. It's about mutual trust and respect. We have that here.
We have such a broad spectrum of people. We have young 21-year-old welders in our team, and we'll have people who are nearing the end of their career, and they've all been happy to put their hands up and help us come and deliver this unique project. It's really about seeing the joy and the commitment and the engagement that we have right across the team. Orcas, leopard seals, a live runway, icebergs the size of football pitches, 4,500 tonnes of equipment transported 9,000 miles. It really is a unique site to work on.
With the effects of human activity on the environment becoming increasingly apparent, the work being carried out by the British Antarctic Survey is now more important than ever before. By constructing and maintaining these remote facilities through dynamic and effective partnerships with contractors like BAM, the survey's teams are able to continue their critical work. Though many of us don't yet recognise the impact of the construction sector on our lives, projects like this, which are enabled by construction and that have such a fundamental influence over our progression on this planet, powerfully highlight the incredible people and limitless ingenuity that shape the world's most important industry. If you enjoyed this video and would like to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, subscribe to the B1M.